Okay, if I can have your attention, please, here in Atlanta Motor Speedway. We are pleased to be joined in the Marcy Scott Media Center by Danica Patrick. She's the driver of the number 10 GoDaddy Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing. And Danica, last time you were at this racetrack, you had a very strong finish, finished 6th. So coming back here to Atlanta, what's your outlook for this weekend at a track that you performed very well at last fall?
Well, it went good last time. It probably sucked before that, and that's just the way racing is. Sometimes you're good, sometimes you're not. I was definitely hopeful yesterday with working with Daniel for the first time here at this track and his cars that we were going to be all right, and I think we had a pretty good first day. It was a good steady day. We found a couple of things that were good and a couple of things that weren't as good, and I feel like, I've said plenty of times that I feel like in a race weekend, if you can find just one or two good changes to your race car that don't hurt it in a negative way anywhere, but help it somewhere, that you have a shot at a decent weekend and being competitive. So I feel like we did that yesterday, and today's another day, and we're going to look to qualifying well, but it's definitely here at Atlanta, racing is very important. If the car is fast for just one lap but not the rest of them, you go backwards very fast here. So it's the race car is definitely, I think, the most important thing, though.
Okay, we'll take some questions now. If you have one for Danica, raise your hand. We'll start right here with Claire. Raise your hand, Claire.
Can't believe there isn't a lineup over there at the meet on rollers.
You passed by it. You wanted to grab one, didn't you?
Nope, just had breakfast. It'd mess up my rice cake I just had.
No kidding. Looks good, though. All right, so I wanted to ask you about the test yesterday and the track bar adjustment and whether you got to play with that at all. And, you've done adjustments in other cars before, if that played out at all for you yesterday.
I actually didn't use it at all yesterday. I have used it, though, when we tested the function at Michigan after the race, the second race there, I think it was. They gave us the adjustment, and no lie, I used it all day. I think we were only supposed to use it at one point in time, but I used it all day because when you give a driver a feature, they're going to use it. But with Atlanta, things like we weren't making extremely long runs, and to test things, you really need to give it the couple of laps you're going to give it, and to be getting after the track bar and things like that, it would have, I think, confused me more on what the adjustments did. And at the point that we were going to make a long run before we went into trying a qualifying run, which didn't really happen very well, but I was going to use it on a long run, but I only probably did 6 or 7 laps, and the car wasn't quite good enough to just stay out there, and I thought we needed another adjustment. So I came in, but yeah, I'm comfortable using it, and I feel like everyone will use it quite a bit, and at different points too, for pitting and restarts and all kinds of stuff. There's a lot to think about there, and I'm interested to see how it'll work, to be honest, because if everybody's able to tune their car in out there, I would think it'd make for less passing. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. It'll make the drivers happy, because trust me, when you're really loose or really tight, you just really want to fix it. So I'm sure it'll make us more comfortable.
Over here to the far right, Brant, raise your hand. Right there, Micah, right in front of you there. I'm sorry, Bob, didn't know you had the mic.
Brant James, USA Today Sports. Everybody wants to get off to a fast start, but you're sort of at a period in the schedule where you have some tracks lined up where you've had pretty good success in one series or another. Do you view this next series of races as crucial or rather opportune, or how do you look at this stretch?
It's always nice to start well, because it seems like you spend the whole year catching up if you don't. And it seems like if you can have a good start, it's so much easier to keep it there, I feel like. I guess it's like having some really bad tests to start off your year in school. You spend the whole rest of the year trying to get your average up. and it's difficult. So I try not to get too wrapped up in it, but it would be nice to have a bunch of top 20s and some top 15s to start the year off here, just to have a good solid foundation, and just try not to have any DNFs. It will be a good start, and it definitely, I think it affects each weekend. It affects you a little bit emotionally, just where you're at in the garage area is a constant reminder of where you're standing in points, and then it also affects, rolling off a pit lane for first practice. Those are the fastest laps on the track, and generally the first cars out are the fastest cars out. And now they're there because they're fast, but that is the best track condition too. So, I've definitely spent plenty of my Cup career waiting for a hole on pit lane for the first 20-some cars to get a run in because the track's full. So, saves time to be able to roll off the pit lane right away too. So, there's a lot of little reasons why it's just going to be, it would be really nice to start off where we can have a decent point standing position for logistical reasons and confidence.
Right there to Bob, and then we'll go to Nate.
Bob Hockris, ESPN. When you came in here to the track yesterday, did you have any good feeling considering your last run here, or has so much
I just
changed?
froze my butt off.
I mean, so much of the cars have changed and your team is different.
I was just hopeful. I mean, there's definitely no doubt that I feel like our first mile and a half together at Texas was kind of a disaster, and so I was really hoping that we would start off close and be able to work with it and be in a decent position, and I feel like we did that. So I made sure I thanked all the guys for bringing a car that was easy to drive from the start and making good changes, and thanked the crew for being efficient and fast in the garage area and getting a lot of runs in. So I think that so far so good, and as I said, in all of our media availabilities before we ever hit the track, was that it's our unrealized potential that is what's exciting to me, and that it's my 4th year in NASCAR and in stock cars and my 3rd year in Cup, and it's Daniel's 6th year in NASCAR and his 2nd year as a crew chief. So we don't have a ton of experience, and that you would think that there's only up to go. So the potential of where we could end up and where we can get to is encouraging.
Let's go to Nate, and then over here to Kelly.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports, on your right, Danica. Right here. Sorry. So a lot of drivers were saying yesterday that they have to kind of relearn how to drive this car with the new package, that you're on full throttle a lot more. I know you don't have a lot of experience to compare it against here, but knowing that when you're driving cars in races in this series where it requires a lot of full throttle all the way around, like Daytona, Talladega, you seem to do better. Do you notice that you're on full throttle a little bit more here than the past, and is that something you
I don't
like?
know if that makes me a bad driver, but I didn't feel that much different. I don't think the pickup off the corner on throttle is quite as there's not quite as much lateral load and acceleration, but not dramatic. And I think that, I looked every time before I go out on the track, other than speedways, I like to look at driver compare of throttle and brake and steering and everything, and I basically did what we did the last time here. It was not getting all the way out of the throttle with very little braking. That was the same thing I did yesterday. So I did not find that it was all that much different than the last time we were here. So I think that generally having to be smoother and not, rolling a lot of speed is something I feel comfortable doing and like doing. I think my style is smooth and not going into the corner and hitting the brake really hard, and at least on the bigger tracks. So I think that I do think it suits my comfort zone and how I like the car. I think that the car needs a certain platform and attitude to do that well, and that's the kind of platform I like. So I do think it suits me all right. But hopefully that materializes to a good weekend. But it's really all about the car. I mean, run the gamut of running good and bad on all different tracks. And so I think so far the team has done a good job of giving me a car that feels comfortable, and that is the most important thing.
Right here to the left, Kelly.
Kelly Crandall from PopularSpeed.com. Danica, in an interview that you did with Yahoo last week, they wrote how you admitted that you have problems being confident. So what do you need to experience? What needs to happen? Is it a feel? How do you combat that to start working on building that up?
I don't remember that. I don't know if I necessarily would ever say something so blunt and simple like I have a problem being confident, but I'm sure I said something to the effect of, at times we all lack confidence every now and again. I definitely do. So I wouldn't say that I'm not a confident person. So just to clarify that, I think that confidence comes from the work that you put in. The confidence comes from trusting your own abilities, and that comes from proving it to yourself over time. And then I think when you have those things, it contributes to having good results, which is the ultimate over the edge, push it over the edge of being more confident all the time is having the results. So I think those are the things that need to be done, and throughout my career I feel like done those at times and not at others. So it's always a work in progress.
Any additional questions for Danica?
Really killed that one, didn't I? Yes, sir. I have time to high five it out and hug it out. Let's do this.
Danica, thanks for joining us in here. Good luck this weekend.